Hi, my name is Chuck Gardner, and this is another one of my golf tutorials. In this one, I want to share a drill that I found very helpful. This is actually a re-recording of this video because the first one I forgot to plug in my microphone. So, the best balance drill that I have seen in all of my years of experience is something that's called the Lawn Mower Drill because it mimics the action of starting a mower. The Lawn Mower Drill is actually a drill to ingrain good weight transfer in the golf swing. Now, something that will help your weight transfer is a suggestion that Ben Hogan makes in his 5 Lessons book. And that is to, at setup in your golf swing, keep the weight, the support of your body weight on your feet on the insteps of your shoes, not standing flat-footed. I golf with a couple guys of my age, a little younger, and they stand with their feet dead flat on the ground. And because their feet are dead flat on the ground, they tend to sway in their backswing because they don't have any resistance to prevent swaying off balance. So, and they also, once they get swayed back, now they're stuck on their back foot, and then they reverse pivot, and they can never complete their swing. What you want to do is finish with your hips facing the target or actually slightly to the left of the target. That gives you the acceleration of the hips you need to keep the hands moving around the body. And the first step of that in the downswing is a lateral shift of momentum of body mass. Lower body mass has to shift forward over your front foot in order to get the weight off of your back foot. And you also want to have your back foot sitting on at an angle, not flat on the ground, because if it's flat on the ground, it's much more difficult to push off than if it's angled. You just have to imagine at all times that you are playing tug of war with the club force. And if you were doing tug of war with somebody pulling on a rope, you wouldn't be standing flat-footed. You would have your back instep planted into the ground for support, for resistance. So that is the pretext to make this lawnmower drill work. And what Hogan suggested is whatever stance you use, squared or flared front foot, just flex your knees and let your knees come in so it feels like you are sitting down, going to sit down backwards on a stool. The same type of muscular support. You will feel tension in your thighs above your knees. You want to feel that tension at address. That is a good setup position. And if you sit down like that, you don't have to exaggerate it by going knock-kneed. You just have to have enough inward pressure. And this also sets up your knee to come back properly in the swing. So that's your setup. Get your weight on the insteps, and the way you do that is you just, at address, you want to feel like you can rock flat and then rock flat forward. If you can do that, you will not have problems with your weight balance, or weight transfer, I should say. So here is the lawnmower drill. It's really simple. What you do is you start down here as if you're pulling up to start a mower, or a chainsaw. What this does biomechanically, if you break down and analyze what is actually happening with your body, in this position here, my spine is straight, erect. But as I pull up here, what I'm doing is I am actually side bending forward a lot. And if you have a long torso like I do, and you don't have a lot of extra poundage in the middle, you'll be able to side bend a lot. And what that does is it changes the angle between your shoulders and your pelvis. So as your pelvis is rotating level, your shoulders are tilting up. Now, why is that a good thing? Mass moving up and down creates kinetic energy. The act of moving this mass of your upper body up against the force of gravity is storing potential energy, which is then released when you drive this back hand down at the ball. In my previous video, I was talking about how I discovered that Hogan's action in his downswing was like a karate martial artist trying to break boards with a heel strike. And the reason that is a good thing is that it's not this action here that generates the power. It is accelerating this down and pulling this body mass down, and at the point of impact, the arm is straight to efficiently transmit that energy. Now, what happens in the golf swing is that this hand here, by coming down and reconnecting with your body, becomes the fulcrum. This action here of coming up from here where you're side bent forward to down where you're side bent back, this becomes the fulcrum that the waggle hinges around. So you have an acceleration of body mass as your arms straighten down towards the ball, and at the same time, you are allowing this club to freely waggle and accelerate. It's like a two-stage rocket where this sets up the first stage to fire, and when the club reaches down to here and reconnects your elbow to your body here, and with the Varden grip, what happens is when you turn your hand up over the top where it should be, these two middle fingers here become the hook fulcrum that this rests on. So the key moves are getting this shoulder up in the backswing to store the potential energy in your back foot, and how you flare your back foot will control how far you can rotate before you get to the top. If you find that you're not getting all the way parallel to the top, you flare your back foot a little bit until you do. If you're in the middle of your round and you find you're all warmed up and you're really loose, your joints are looser, and all of a sudden you're way over the top, like John Daly here, that's going to mess up your timing. So then you just adjust your back foot. And what I'm doing here is I'm standing here with the sun at my back, looking at my shadow down at the ground, so I can see exactly where my club position is at the top. And if I flare my foot here, it's way over too much. If I can adjust my foot until the tension at the top brings my club back parallel over my heels, which is the center of balance. So that is the goal of the lawnmower drill. And an efficient golf swing and it requires forward side bend. Side bend is something that golf instructors, for some reason, don't talk about. And I suspect the reason is because the guys who become golf pros are natural athletes. They have good athletic intuition. They do things with their body reflexively that other people who are less coordinated, like me, do not. We have to think about it, which is why Hogan's approach was a watershed moment for me, because he broke things down in terms of the mechanics in a way that I could understand. So this action here is, and it's actually this motion here, bringing the waiter bringing up the tray of food over the shoulder to slam it down on the table. Karate chop, right? Because the faster you move this hand down here, the faster this one is going to release. This is the one here that is pulling the club. So if you don't snap this one down, this one's going to move slower. It's just common sense. And this thing you need to do consciously when practicing is just get used to having your weight so you can rock on your feet and rock back to flat on top with this up, and then rock back to flat on your front foot to the point where you roll over on the outside of your foot, which makes it easier to get your hip turned. That is the second part of the lawnmower drill. The first part is pulling the mower to start it up. The second part of the drill, again, you're on the insteps of your feet so you can rock back and forth, is you reach down and pull it back the other direction to get this shoulder up, which straightens this front leg. But you don't want to get this motion up here until you get the weight off your back foot. Now, one of the things you will see as a characteristic of all pros and good ball strikers is that at impact, at the moment of impact, they are side bent and their heel is just slightly off the ground. They haven't turned their foot yet. Their heel is just slightly off the ground. That is like the canary in the coal mine that died before the miners did when the air was bad. If you don't have your back heel slightly off the ground by impact, it means that you have not transferred your weight properly. And you are going to get stuck on your back foot. You're going to throw the club open through the ball, and you're going to hit a slice. So, and when you finish the swing, if you get stuck on your back foot, you will find that you're finishing with your club facing the target rather than having the club swung over to the left. So you need to be conscious of these variables when you practice, and you don't want to think about it while you're playing. You want it to be so reflexive from practice by the time you go to the range or to go to the course to play that you don't have to think about it. And you don't have to go to the driving range to practice this stuff. You can do it just like I am here. Just go in the backyard with a club and just practice swinging it and getting down to that pro impact position. And that will tell you, with every club in the bag, where you want your ball to be. Now, this is going into grip, but one of the fundamentals of the golf swing is the grip, where you start by putting the heel, the base of your thumb, on the top of the shaft and get your base of your trail thumb on top of the base of the lead thumb. If you don't have a club in your hand and just interlace your fingers, that's where they naturally fall. What happens is that allows your wrist to turn the clubs over symmetrically. Now here's the magic part, is that if you let the swing completely extend your arms and pull your hands, this is radial deviation, this is ulnar deviation, this is extension, this is flexion, this is neutral. So what happens in the swing, if you use your Varden grip properly, is that at impact, your lead wrist will tend to go into flexion and also come palm up, which is called supination. The combination that is called dorsiflexion, and because the hands are locked together, this hand will rotate into extension. Now, if you do the karate chop action, consciously rotating your hand down here, it gets your hands in exactly the right spot to get the club extended straight with the arm, which makes it an efficient lever arm. And also, you will find, you may not have ever done this before impact, but if you take the club and just do this up in the air, you will find you will get to a point where the club is stuck. Now here, the club is being stuck with the face closed. But if I adjust it so the face is square, now when I swing down and get to the point where I'm completely pulled straight as the club head meets the ball and compresses it, guess what? You get consistent ball striking because the joints of the wrists and arms and elbows and everything connected to creating this arm triangle lock up. So that is the goal of getting up here and down to here into the pro impact position. And the lawn mower drill is something you can do when you get up in the morning and you're brushing your teeth in front of the bathroom mirror. Just do this a few times. Do up, up, and focus on, in your bare feet, getting your feet on the insteps. Get in the habit of feeling that tension in your legs. Now, before I adopted Hogan's 5 Lessons book and read this tip about sitting down on the stool, what would happen is late in the round, particularly if I was playing, 36 holes a day. I was working at a golf course, could play for free, so I was playing 36 holes a day. Well, by the end of the afternoon, my legs got tired and I got lazy and I started standing up with slack legs. Now, when you stand up with slack legs, what happens is your feet go flat. Your feet go flat, you're not going to have good weight transfer. So it is important to have a pre-flight checklist, conscious mental list of things you want to do on every golf swing. My mental checklist starts with holding the club with my trail hand, getting my lead hand on properly, getting my trail hand over here, wrapping my fingers around the bottom because I have long palms and short stubby fingers. When I used to grip the club on the ground like this and wrap my hands around, my hands were never in the right place. It's only when I bought this short training club that put my fingers in the right place, that I realized that, okay, I need to start like this, put this hand on, and now, because it's forcing me to grip in the air, my thumbs got in the right place, overlapping the base of the thumbs. And you can see here that my fingers here are not where the notches should be. This is too low, this is ideal. And the reason for that is because my hands have long palms and short fingers. If you have long fingers and short palms, well, your hands are going to fit on this device differently, but the goal to make the grip work properly is to get these over the top. So that's step one. Step two is letting the club hang and pull my arm straight. That pulling of the arm straight is what counter-rotates the forearms, that puts the pin in the hinge. The pin is the pinning pressure of the trail hand, and that's what prevents this from happening in the backswing. You see a beginning golfer, the first thing they do is they turn the club over here, then swing it back, and it winds up to inside. You need to have resistance in this direction, which you get automatically if your trail hand is on the top. That's why this is important. So you come back outside, your arms fold, you come up, but you also want to do that lawnmower motion where you side bend. You're side bending forward with your weight still on your instep, and that is what's going to automatically transfer your weight properly in the downswing. So I have beat this topic to death, and so I'm going to end this video here. I would encourage you to practice this move in front of the bathroom window in the backyard with your golf club until doing it any other way feels wrong. It might take 1,000 repetitions of doing that, which is why you want to do it in your backyard, not when you're trying to play golf or on the driving range. You need to have this ingrained in muscle memory before you even put the club in your hands. So just cross your arms and move your body like this, and then when you put the club in your hands, your brain, reflexive brain, will remember what to do right. So again, thanks for watching. If you find this useful, leave a comment. If you try it, let me know if it works for you. Thanks for watching.